Hi everyone and welcome back, and if you're new here, I'm Diane and this is my studio. So you have your sketchbook and you don't know what to put in it. Happens all the time. So today I'm going to show you some ideas of things to do on separate pieces of paper that will inspire your creativity so that you can go to your sketchbook with confidence and get yourself started on your sketchbook painting journey. Sketchbooks seem to be quite the thing at the moment, and everyone seems to be calling themselves sketchbook artists. So why don't we do the same thing and confidently go ahead? Here, however, I have got some Mead watercolor paper. This is hot press, and I'm going to do my little exploratory warm-ups on that. So I've also got, I'm actually going to be using the Bao one, which is already open. It's exactly the same paper. So this is probably easier to get and it's probably cheaper. So the Mead watercolor paper is what I recommend. And there's a link in the description below to their website where you'll get an extra 10% off if you quote my Diane 10 code. So anyway, this is 5x7 and I've got a round size 5 brush here from Craftmo. Any round brush will do, or you could use a bigger one if you wanted. This is Princeton Aqua Elite size 8. It's also a very nice brush, which I recommend heartily. Got a nice big pot of water. And I'll put that here, and I've got my cloth to dry my brush on and clean it. Just a piece of toweling here. And so it is really difficult, isn't it, to get started when you come in the morning or in the evening or whenever you want to start painting and you don't know what to paint. I tend to move towards flowers. That tends to be my go-to, so to speak. This is something I did not that long ago. I was practicing for something else and I didn't get to use it. And that's the background for the same thing. And I keep everything now in these little, everything that I do, I've been punching holes and keeping it in this little binder thing that I'm creating, just because it keeps everything together. And I've got that size and I've got this size, and I didn't realize how easy these rings were to get hold of, but they are easy to find on Amazon, and it's a really good way of keeping everything together, because otherwise it all gets lost, and you don't necessarily want everything in a book, do you? Anyway, so let's start with one of these. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I've got 7 ideas here for warm-ups, and I'm going to put them together like this. And then, whoops, I'm going to throw them on the table. No, I'm going to turn them over. I'm going to shuffle them a little bit. And, oh, there's another one there. I'm going to shuffle them a little bit, and then I'm going to take one out at random, and then I'm going to paint that, and that's going to be my first warm-up for this morning, 7. So it's like playing 7-card rummy. So let's see, which one shall we do? Let's do this one. Okay, that's good. That's a nice, easy one to start with. This was one that I did a rainbow kind of effect in the background. Then when that was dry, I came into it with some neurographic art lines, and I think that's an absolutely great way to start. No pressure there. Question is that brush going to be big enough? Do I want to go for a slightly bigger one? Thinking. Let me see. Maybe a flat might be nice to try. Let's see if I can find. Well, this is one from our set, the Craftmo set of brushes that is still available. I think there are about 40 of them, 40 sets left, so they're going to sell out very soon. So if you have been hesitating about whether or not to get the Craftmo set of Diane Antone brushes, pop over there soon, because before very long they won't be available. I've got this palette here that I had used before for this thing, but I think I'm going to move these things out of the way, and I'm going to pull down here my big palette. This is my Michael Harding palette. It is rather large, I have to admit. And I know you won't be able to see it all unless I put the camera on the wider thingy, and then we can go back to the closer view for the second part, perhaps, or for future bits. So, I think I need to sit down. Now, it doesn't matter how you start this, does it? You can start with any colour. I think I began it that way round. I started with the orange. So maybe I'll do the same thing. And you could put masking tape around the outside edge if you wanted to. And we're just warming up, remember? So it doesn't matter what happens here. We're just doing a lovely background. And if you use the hot press paper like this one and this brush, you will find this an absolutely adorably aesthetically pleasing process, because the brush is smooth and the paint goes on to the silky paper and it's lovely. So we'll go to purple now. And we're just doing lovely soft strokes. I'll just turn that round and get a bit more purple and just letting it blend in its own way, because this is just a background and we're just enjoying this, aren't we? So we'll go to some dark blue, ultramarine blue, with a bit of, well, darker, a little bit dark. There we are, so that navy blue. And what shall I put down here? Mix some green in with the blue to give me a nice sort of turquoisey colour. And the beauty of this is you're just practicing blending the colours and no pressure. Nothing can possibly go wrong. So there we are, we'll leave that to dry. And then we'll come back with our pen and we'll do some neurographic lines. So that's going to dry. And so if I'm going to go on, I'm going to come back to that when it has dried, okay? So we'll come back towards the end. So I'm going to put that aside, let that dry. And I need another piece of paper. Let me see. I'm sure I've got one of those open somewhere. Okay, now this one is cold press. So it's the same paper, Meaden, and this is cold press, and it will be a little bit different. So let's see, which one shall we do now? I'm going to pick one at random. I don't remember which order they're in. We've got 6 of them left here now. And I think I'll go for that one. Oh, that's nice, yes. Okay. Now this, I did this one here with the colours that were remaining in my palette after I'd done a bit of painting. I just mixed up some green and some, what was it? Green and brown, I think. Must have been. So it's quite a nice set of beiges. And I think what I'm going to do here, I will go back to my other angle, like that. Put that there, and we'll try to do something similar on here. And I'm going to go to my slightly smaller brush for this one, a 8 Aqua Elite. And I'm going to use this palette because I know that yesterday I had that green, which I don't know what it is. It's kind of turquoisey green. I think it's Hooker's green. I think these are all Old Holland colours, if I remember rightly. And to get that colour, I must have used, oh golly, was it that? Need a scrap piece of paper. No, maybe a bit more red. Yeah, I think that was it. It looks a bit browner, doesn't it? I think it might have been this one. You see, this just goes to show that was just a random color on my palette, and I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to use these two pools of sludge because I just wanted something really neutral. Anyway, so I want a piece of scrap paper. I'll use this because you have to try it out. Right, I think it's got more of this in it, definitely. Yeah, that looks like it. That's a bit better. Okay, so, this is life in the studio. So we're just going to, you can't expect to reproduce exactly what you did, and I'm not liking this brush for this purpose either, so I'm going to get rid of that. The Craftmo ones are much stiffer, and I prefer them, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is just make some squares and rectangles in whatever color happens. I'm not going to control this, just see whatever happens, because the idea is to relax. And you'll find that once you get started, it's okay. When you're thinking about it all the time, it's not okay. Yeah, so we'll just remember that we want plenty of green in it. And these are different shades of grey. We call this mixing two complementary colours like red and green. You call that mixing greys. So they aren't, that's a pretty neutral grey, that one there. But this and this and this, these are also greys. This is a grey. Technically, you might say that's brown. But as far as an artist is concerned, these are greys. And you can make it greyer by adding green. So there we've got a kind of gradual progression. You need these colours for making shadows if you're doing something like a landscape. And when you do a landscape, you don't want to make the shadows just a dead grey like Payne's grey, because that always looks reasonably ugly. You're much better off doing your greys like this with a mixture of complementary colours. So I'm not thinking about this at all. I'm just allowing this. That's a nice neutral grey. That would make a good shadow. I'm just letting this just happen. I'm not thinking about it at all, just letting my brush do the talking. So there we are. We've covered the whole page now. Something similar to this, isn't it? Very similar. So I must have been doing the same kind of colours more or less. And now we need to leave that one to dry. I'm just going to go back to the other one, and hopefully that one is dry. And so you can go and sit over there. So that was done on cold press. This one was done on hot. And the reason I chose hot press for this, I'm just going to knock the last bit of water off. Okay, so the idea of neurographic art, I'm not an expert on neurographic art at all. Absolutely not. And I haven't done much of it, but I did like the effect that you get when the idea is, I think, if I remember rightly, you start on one side and you go to the other side of the page. So maybe we might start here, and then we're going to do a lovely curvy line up to the top. And I'm using my Fudenosuke Tombow brush, which is a kind of calligraphy brush, brush pen, which will do thick and thin lines. Which is quite nice. So I think that's the idea. And then you go to wherever there's a junction, you're going to soften the line. The join becomes like that. And I think for that, I'm not sure, I'm going to try doing that with a regular pen. This is a 0.8, because I think it's possible that you might need a bit more control than you get with the Fudenosuke. And this is the idea. And this is supposed to be a calming kind of exercise, which a lot of people advocate as a way of relaxation. And I'm just trying to remember what you do once you've done all of these, or if you do anything. And I might have to look it up. And if you use hot press paper like this, you'll find that all and any pen work that you do is much easier than it would be on cold press paper, because cold press paper has quite a lot of texture to it, or as the world of art calls it, tooth, which, I don't know why, which kind of catches on the nib of the pen, and it can give a very nice effect. But it can also be irritating if you're trying to get nice smooth lines. So I'm going to add a couple more, maybe another one in the middle, and another one here perhaps. And that gives us a few more to do. I think about a year ago, I heard of this system of doing line drawings, and we explored it a little bit. So there are a couple of other videos on the channel where I'm doing stuff which is kind of like this. And then I had a look also at, what's it called? I'll remember it in a second. Oh, God. You know what I mean. Where you do... Oh gosh. That's a sign of old age creeping on, that is. I had that word in my head and it's completely vanished, and I'll think of it in a minute. So that's that. Now I'm just going to find out what I'm trying to talk about and come back. Okay, what I was trying to think of was Zentangle. Anyway, irrelevant. So that's basically it. That's basically all you need to do. You can do the lines first and then fill in the sections with colour if you want. Or like what I did, you can do the background and then put lines over the top. And the idea is that while you're doing it, you think about a problem or some issue that you're facing. And the idea is that it helps you to deal with that and to resolve the problem. So I probably ought to have done that as well. But anyway, so that's that one. And I think that's quite nice. So I'll put that to one side. We're going to come back to this one in a minute. This is now dry, and I think that's looking really rather nice. Doesn't matter which way around it is, but you can see how that's a really great starting point if you wanted to do a building. Supposing you wanted to do lots of stonework on a building or bricks and things like that, or a brick wall, stone wall in a field or something like that. this is what you want to do, and then you can fill in the gaps with shadow if you like, or you can leave it light like this and put more line work on to make it interesting in all sorts of different ways. And I'm going to come back to that and do some doodling over it in a minute. Meanwhile, I'm going to prepare the next one of our exciting adventures today. And I'm just going to move this a little bit this way and this a little bit that way so you can see the reds and greens. And I think what we're going to do next is, well, first of all, we'll choose one from here. We have 5 remaining. And eeny, meeny, macaraka, farewell, dominaka, om-pom, push. Let's have this one. And what have we got in the window today? Flowers. Okay. I've got lots of flowers for inspiration here in my little ring binder thingy. And different colour. This is another idea. What I did here was I was actually literally interested in the colour combinations here. So I thought what I could do is I could make a binder with just colour palettes in. So when I don't know what to paint, what colours to put together, I can look at this and be inspired in an appropriate way. So that's what that's going to be. And I've also got this one as well, which has got more, slightly smaller. Some of these are little paintings and so on and so forth. But because this is a relaxation, nice little birds there, look, see. Because this is a kind of relaxation thing, a warm-up thing, suggesting lots of ways of you that you might like to try to fill your sketchbooks. I'm not going to worry too much about planning the colours in advance. So let's just go for the reds. And I'm going to do a traditional 5-pointed flower. And we'll add some more colour in the middle and let that bleed out a little bit. And lovely, beautiful purple here. And we want nice dark colours. So we can add some black here to this red to make this gorgeous maroon colour. These Michael Harding paints are fabulous, really. This is alizarin crimson. So this is turning into a bouquet of reds and pinks. We go back up to the pink here a little bit. And we'll put some partially open flowers in. And maybe we'll have a lovely dark purple one up there. And a bit more black in the purple, perhaps a really dark one down here. Especially if you want to do line work and you want to use gold. You think ahead and you can put really strong darks down that you can doodle over and it will really show up. Yeah, so, and then maybe we'll go for a few pink ones. I've got some, this is shell pink from Holbein. And we'll just pop some of those in here and there. I'm going to leave some spaces because we're going to want some leaves. Need some spaces for some leaves. Maybe put another one of these pale ones down here. And I have the feeling I should have a bit more dark here. Okay, so now we'll turn the palette round and go to the greens. Let's make sure you can see. Yeah. So this is a really dark green. This is phthalo green, that's right. So I'm going to bring in some stems and let the green touch and see whether that will merge at all in some places. And then, well, it hasn't really, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so we'll do some nice dark leaves here and there. Yeah, so these need some stems. And perhaps a couple more little leaves up here. I'm not going to add a lot more different greens. I think I'm just going to leave this as it is with these colours because I just like that contrast. That's rather nice. And put a little bit of black in the centre of that one and this one and that one. Now they're drying a little bit. And then we can come in when that's dry and we can do some nice calligraphy over the top if we feel like we want to do that. So that needs to dry now and we'll see how that turns out. So I'll pop that over there. Okay, and that will have to dry. So now we'll look at this one. That can go away. And I'm going to do something like this on here. So we'll go with the quite thick 0.8. This is a 0.8 pigment liner by Stettler. Could be any brand. The Micron liners are good too. Doesn't matter, whatever you happen to have. Something I want to try out shortly that I have just acquired to try and haven't even unwrapped it yet is these Sharpies, gold, silver and bronze, and I don't know how thick the nibs are. I don't know anything about them yet. I haven't even got them out. I just received them yesterday. And the other one that I also got recently, what did I do with it? A gold pen called what was it called? It's called something strange. I'm always losing everything, aren't I? I thought I put it back in here. I don't know where. Oh well, when I find it, I will introduce you. Oh, there it is. Here it is. It's very tiny. It's a tiny little pen. It's called a Slicky or Slicky by Pentel. And it's tiny compared to these. You can see significantly smaller. And it does lovely gold lines. So that's going to be fun to use for Christmas. Try not to lose it again. Okay, sit down and find my 0.8 and do some doodling on here. So I quite like the idea of these. I think this is called a Greek key. I'm not quite sure how far away from the original Greek key idea I've got there. But anyway, so we'll do some of them. And then we might do some parallel lines. And you can see how the lines jump around a little bit because obviously the paper is much rougher than the hot press. And the benefit of this is that you can practice all of your parallel lines and your shapes and things without needing to be upset when it doesn't turn out the way you thought it ought to. And so there we are, you see. So we can do spirals, or you can keep all the lines straight if you want. I did on the first one, I did mostly, except I think I had one that had spirals. Can't resist a spiral. So the idea is that this is going to spark your creativity. So any of these ideas, just give them a try. Before you start work in your sketchbook. This is the idea. Oh, I've already done that one. To change it then. There we are. Let's do that. A little bit like neurographic art. That's where we're headed, isn't it? And we could do trying to think of as many different ways of using your pen to create texture. This is real texture. This is actual texture. And we could do lots of dots, I suppose. You could use something like this as another example of a master for future doodles, you know. Oh, where's that one I did before? I had some good ideas on there, kind of thing. Make holes in it, put it in a ring binder, or make your own ring binder. And you're set. Okay, let me see, what can I do now? I'm trying to keep away from sort of flowery shapes, but I think we could probably accommodate a few leaf shapes. There we are, and maybe a few circles scattered in around there. And the last one, what shall we do for the last one? I think maybe we'll just do a simple Greek key pattern to finish it off. So there we are, there's that. And I do think that is a rather nice idea for future reference. So what we need to do now then is cut it off. I'm using a little butter knife here to remove my sheets. It works really well. It's rather a nice little knife, isn't it? Look at that. It's antique, I think. It's not real silver. I think it's just silver plate. It says EPN, electroplated nickel, EPNS, electroplated nickel steel. And the handle, though, I think is bone. must be quite old, probably 100 years old, this little knife, so that's nice. And it's, look, all this unnecessary decoration there along the top edge. They knew how to make things in those days. Beautiful. Okay, so you can go and sit over there with the, so this is what we've got so far. Neographic art and just plain old doodles. Now this one, how's this coming along? This flowery one. Not dry yet, but soon will be. And so now the next one, let's see what the next one is. And, you know, my mind goes a complete blank. If I didn't have my little cards here prepared in advance, I don't know what I would be doing. We've done you. You can go there. We've done you. 3 down, 4 to go. Okay, which one shall I choose? Eeny, meeny, macaracka, bear, dun. Oh, leaves. Okay, all right. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. We're on the cold press here, and we're going to do some leaves. This is a nice colour, but I might do these ones differently. And for the brush, I'm probably going to go for a slightly bigger. Maybe because this is a bigger piece of paper than this. This was done with the 5 or the 6, and this one, this is a 10, I think. So we'll do that. And I'll just move this a little bit here. If I turn it that way, then I can move that a bit. And you go over there, please. Move the greens down so you can see a few more of them. Yeah. Okay, like that, perhaps. Okay, so this is just going to be a leaf pattern. Let's start with some green gold, this one is. And we'll do a few of those. 2-stroke leaves. And then we'll have a few in sap green light. And like I said before, this is the Michael Harding colours. But these colours are all available in every brand of paints. And I'm working on the cold press here. So we've got some nice light ones. Now perhaps we'll go to the, this is aqua green. Which is lovely when it mixes, makes beautiful mixtures. But that's not what we're worried about at the moment. We're trying out the different colours to refamiliarise ourselves. And this is moss green. So imagine that you haven't painted for a while with a set of paints. This happens all the time to me. You haven't painted for a while with a set, and you need to remember what colours you've got in that set, because most of the sets, although they have a lot of things in common, a lot of them are quite, you know, they have special colours like this one. There's a nice moss green. Okay, so then we've got hooker's green here. It's darker. Sooner or later, if we're going to go with all of these colours, we're going to end up going over and letting it bleed a bit. And then we've got sap green, not sap green light, but sap green dark. And that is a beautiful dark colour, isn't it? And now we've got phthalo green, which is very dark. And then we have phthalo blue. The phthalo colours are quite striking. We should get a little bit of running coming in now. Some bleeding. And okay, I think that's probably enough. So that's a kind of background pattern. And then we're going to let that dry. And then come in with some line work. Hopefully lots of nice mixtures will occur naturally. So we'll leave that to one side. That's a nice thing to do. Put him over there, and now back to the flowers. I'm going to use the hairdryer briefly. Okay, so here we are. We could do so many different things here. I could even use a dip pen on this if I wanted to really go crazy. I could use black, or I could use white, or I can use gold, or I can use all of those things. It's tricky actually to decide. Always hard to decide what's going to be the best, especially when you don't have very much of a visual imagination. So it's all a bit hit or miss. So anyway, let's put in a few white lines on here and maybe some white dots for the centers of the flowers, perhaps. And we'll just do some nice doodles. Once you get started, it's much easier. You spend too long thinking about it. Thinking is the devil. It's best just to act upon your impulses. And so we've started with something that we know we like, which is the white line on the dark leaf. And then after that, we might be able to think a bit more clearly about what to do next. I think this one probably wants more white. So we make this into a sort of chrysanthemum thing. Something like that. And this one also probably could do with something like that. This one, my white pen is not behaving itself very well today, so we'll get what we get. And sometimes you have to just work a little bit more slowly. To control yourself, go a bit more slowly. You need your veins. Okay, and this one, And then maybe we'll use a bit of black. If you let it be a bit scratchy, it sometimes looks better. Don't want anything too definite. So there we are. Let's go around the outside of this one a bit. I think that's probably good enough. There we are, that one is now done. I'll take him off of his pad. And if by any remote chance any of these practice pieces that you do while you're warming up turn out nice, you can always frame them or put them in on a card to give to somebody. This one is drying, but not yet completely dry. So we'll go to this one and do our next background. So we have 3 to remain with 4 down and 3 to go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catcher, fisher, let him go. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I got that wrong. So it's that one. Okay, excellent. So this one I did by just putting circles of colour all over the paper to start with. So, and I was using this palette, and I just kind of went round the palette and picked the colours up as I went round. So maybe I'll do it that way, and you can tell me whether you think there's any difference between these colours and the Michael Harding ones. Just clean my brush. Pick up some of this grungy colour that's in there. So let's start with a circle in the middle. And then maybe we'll go to the orange. And this is a kind of Indian red. Remember, don't think about it, just do it. And then we've got, and I'm not even really rinsing out my brush. This is alizarin crimson. Not even really washing out my brush. And that's black added, black? Yeah, that's black added to red. Interesting. I wonder what I would get if I added black to orange. I get a lovely brown. There's a surprise. Okay, into the brush a bit, and maybe we want a bit of blue. That's going to be grey. Now, if I want blue, I'm not going to have that colour, so I'll go with purple. Let's put some purple up here. That's gone a little bit brownish too because it's mixed with the brown, so we'll put a bit more. And then let's put some purple down here. And this is just a kind of cheaty way of doing a background. That is a very strong green, look at that. That might be a bit too much. So let's put some yellow. And we get a nice mushy green there. And let's put some more orange here. And let that mush a bit too. I think now we need red. There's too much water here, so I'm just going to dab that out. And we'll come back in with a different option there. There's too much water. I'm going to put more yellow there and kind of smooth that out a bit. And what do we want there? I think maybe this one. And the thing is, you don't want to be in any way negative. Don't say, oh my God, I don't like it. Just keep going. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes the ones you like the least are the ones that inspire you to do something different with it, and you suddenly realize that's the one that you like the best. Okay, so I'm going to go over this bit here with a bit more yellow just to make it smush. And then I'm going to put a bit of water here to let that run. And I'm going to put a bit of water there for the same reason. And I think that's going to be fine. So we'll let that dry, and then we're going to scribble all over the top of it, as we did here. It's just a background. It's going to take a little while to dry, that one, but you never know. Sometimes these things turn out really ugly, and sometimes they're very inspiring. So that's what we need to be patient for. Pop that over there. Let's have a look at this one. I think we'll probably need to dry that a bit. So now, what are we going to do with this? I think it's calling out for gold. So I tell you what I'm going to do. Let's have a look and see what we have here with these Sharpies. And we can try to get it open. Okay. Silver, bronze and gold. So let's see. Well, I don't know. Oh, here's our piece of scrap paper. I haven't used a Sharpie any other colour than black ever before. It's interesting, isn't it? This is a real first time for me. So they're quite thick. I wonder if it will work. Well, it works. Oh, yes. Nice big dots. Look at that. Plenty of ink in these pens. Very broad nib. So obviously not going to be something that you'd use for fine work, but for pattern making, definitely. So that's a start. Having made a start, maybe we'll go to the Tombow pen and just go around some of these, perhaps. That one needs white. So we want some white on some of these. And we're just building it up. Nothing mysterious. But these lovely thick black lines make all the difference. They make sense of the design, I think. And you can, where you've got fuzzy lines like that, you can just go over it if you want to sharpen them up a bit. You probably won't want to go over or around every single leaf. Some of them will be calling out to you. Others won't. And I think what you have to do, if anything, is know when to stop. And to, go as far as I have done here and say to yourself, okay, what have I done? And what have I got that I don't want to lose? And so this leaf here is really pretty, the way it's gone all fuzzy into the one behind. There's a lovely contrast. So we really wouldn't, and this one the same, so you wouldn't want to lose that. But I did do one line there with some dots, so we have to repeat that. Where you've got a white line, if you've done it once, if you don't do it again, it just looks like you lost track of what you were doing, so we'll do that. So we've got lots of nice gold. Maybe I'll use the thin gold as well for a few. Perhaps I'll put some of that on or around some of, I don't know, some of these ones, these light ones perhaps. I don't know, because this is all new because I've not used this particular tool before, so. So just a few here and there on that kind of moss green colour. It's not going to show very much, but it'll add something in the background. And I think that is going to do for that. I think we'll leave that one at that. And time to take you off of your support. You see how easy it is to do these things. Don't imagine that you have to be a genius to do this. What have we got so far? We've got that, and that, and that, and that. So far, 4 of them, and one half done. So this one's particularly successful, and I do like that one too. We'll put you over there. So this one is our multicoloured background, and that is coming out quite nicely. So pop him to one side for the minute and get this one started. And where are we? Where are my samples? It's these two, isn't it? Two to go. 5 down, 2 to go. Which one shall we do next? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I think this is the one to go. Oh, right. So that's basically the same as that, isn't it? But it isn't. You see, because this one has got circles on it, and this one has got circles on it. So those two go together. This one is going to be different. This one is going to start with the yellow from the Michael Harding set in the middle. And it's on cold press, not hot press. That one was hot press, this one's cold press. I will turn that round. And I know it looks very similar, but it's a different method. So we'll use the big brush. Pick up some bright yellow. This is azo yellow. And we'll just do that in the middle. I'm using the cat's tongue from my set. And then what I did previously, I didn't wash my brush, I just picked up some orange. Didn't wash my brush and then picked up some darker orange. And these paints are really smooth. Yeah, they are really smooth. Okay, so yeah, that can go that way up, I think. Then we went for the purple, coming down here a little bit. A bit more orange. This is just fun. Nice dark purpley colour and maybe a bit of this burnt sienna at the bottom. Then let's have a bit more orange and a bit more of this orange and a bit more of the red. And then I will wash my brush at this point and pick up some more azo yellow. And just keep that yellow in the middle. Don't want to lose that. And I'm not going to play around with it. I know there might be, you know, slightly irregular bits here and there, but I don't want to play around with it too much. So we'll just leave that like that. But I did like, on this one, the very, very dark purple down the bottom, which was black mixed with purple. So I'm just going to put some of that in down here and let that play. Okay. We do get a very nice entry effect there, some kind of going in. So we'll just let that one sit and do its thing over here. And we go back to our circles. Okay, just had to let the dogs in. So this suddenly is screaming to me that this is a vase of flowers. And I can see all of these as blooms, and they seem to be in a kind of vase here. I did some painting just recently with a vase going off the page kind of thing, and that this seems to me to be a similar kind of thing. I'm just going to put the side of it in here. So we now have a kind of container. And then I'm going to be really kind of rash and kind of just have a go at turning these blobs into flowers. Let's see how it goes. I have some more leaves coming down here. And up here, let's and hard to know exactly what to say here because I'm not quite sure what I want to do, but probably we should have, I don't know, this one looks, I don't know, you have to just let things happen. You can't control anything. And you might come in afterwards with a bit more colour. Possibly we have a tulip up here and another one of these up here. And it's because I didn't really prepare for this, you see, so I'm a bit at a loss. Yeah, I think that is interesting. So we'll just put some darker lines and maybe, yeah, put some shadow behind. And we could probably, I don't know how this is going to work, but we could probably add a little bit more colour. We'll see what happens. Let's try. And ace of yellow. And orange. And a bit of reddish purple here, perhaps. You won't know until it's dry whether or not it was the right thing to do. And I think it's possible that we might want to pop some green in here, because none of our leaves are green and that might be what we're needing. So some nice dark green leaves, and they're all going to be different because the background is different shades of green. Nice dark. And then it's possible that once that was dry, you might feel that you wanted to add some lighter lines to it. That's possible. But on the other hand, when it's dry, it might look just fine. But we won't know until then. So it's moody. It's a moody kind of vase of flowers. Has a kind of atmosphere about it, doesn't it? So we'll see how that one looks when that one's dry. Pop him over there. And this one's coming along. It's looking interesting. Don't know what we're going to make of that one. Yes, interesting indeed. Getting close to the end. What I did with that this morning was I just drew some branches of leaves across it, which is perhaps not the most inspirational thing that I could possibly have done. I'm sort of thinking I might keep this one, save it, and work on it later, because I think it might deserve a little bit more consideration. And we've done a lot so far today, and we've got one more to go. So we'll take him off and set him aside, and maybe we'll come back to him later. Because apart from anything else, this kind of painting moves a lot as it's drying, and if I dry it with a hairdryer, that will kind of freeze frame it. So it probably is best to let it dry of its own accord. So we'll put those ones over there to think about. And then the final one is just this, which is just a bit of a play. So I don't know, I think I might do that on a smaller piece of paper. Shall I? Or shall I do it big? Oh, I don't know. Go for it. Do it big. Don't be daft. So we need this brush, I think. And we'll see what happens here. And I had written on here the lines to a poem, part of a poem by Tennyson. The trees began to whisper and the wind began to roll, and in the wild March morning I heard them call my soul. And I kind of think that we could substitute June for March. So this is another way of practicing your colour skills and your brush skills. So we'll just mix up some paints on the fly like that, just going from one green to the next, for example, and see what we have. Maybe wash it out, go to the aqua green, which is lovely. And this is just, I think, a much more fun way of swatching than doing it all in boxes. Who wants to do boxes? Put the paints in boxes. And this is ultramarine blue mixed with a bit of turquoise green. Then we'll add a bit of yellow, ultramarine with azo yellow, and a bit more azo yellow, benzimidazole. This is orange. We go to quinacridone purple. Quinacridone purple with black. Quinacridone gold. And burnt sienna. And burnt sienna and Van Dyke brown. More Van Dyke brown. That's mostly Van Dyke brown. Van Dyke brown with black. That makes a colour that looks to me like sepia. Really dark brown. Excellent colour. Everyone should have some of that in their armoury. This is moss green again. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Moss green with sap green light. Then we've got hooker's green. Hooker's green with azo yellow. And you can see that azo yellow has a very similar effect on hooker's green to what it did on sage green, sap green light. And then we've got phthalo green. And what happens when we mix phthalo green with purple? Almost black. This is Verditer blue, which is a lovely soft blue, perfect for things like cornflowers and other blue flowers that you find in the field. And ultramarine, which is really a good sky colour, I think. But Verditer looks like it would work as well. And then this is a Holbein colour. This is called lavender. But it's actually blue. And it's almost opaque. And this is its friend, shell pink. And then we have its other friend, jaune brilliant, which is a mixing colour, I think, very good for smoothing out problems. And that will add to anything. This is added to purple, and look, it gives you a nice thing that looks like gouache. So that jaune brilliant is a wonderful addition to all the transparent colours because it just turns them into something matte and kind of flatter, you see what I mean. So there we are. That is that. And not really something that you would consider high art, but rather good if you wanted a background for writing words on or something like that. Or you could paint flowers over the top of it or whatever. So that's what we have. And as well, today we have created these other works of art. This one, which is not finished because it's still wet, and I'm going to work on that later. This one, which is also still damp, looks to me as if it could do with a little bit of highlighting, but I quite like it, actually. Quite pleased with the way that turned out, considering where it started from. So that's that one. And then we've got our page of leaves, our neurographic art sample, all a reminder of things that we've done in the past, our line doodles on our squares and rectangles, and a nice pink and dark green floral bouquet. So there we are, some ideas for you to put in your sketchbook if you feel like filling a sketchbook with your work. And that's kept me busy all morning. It's now time to go and make the lunch, and it's nearly midday. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please turn on notifications and subscribe to the channel. If you turn on notifications, don't forget to click the bell where it says all so that you get notified when a video goes up. A lot of people, including me, forget to do that when they subscribe to someone new. And if you do forget it, then you don't get told about anything. So you have to remember that. So there we are. What day is it today? It is Thursday. This weekend we have another newsletter coming out with probably another special offer, and go over to my Etsy page, my Etsy shop rather, and see what you can find there, because I have just put up a whole bunch more paintings on there, very inexpensive and real art actually, created by a human being, not a computer, which is something to value, I think, and we should support one another, shouldn't we? Yes, I think so too. So I'll let you go, and I will see you again soon. So bye for now, everyone. Bye-bye. Well, me and Lottie are off to the studio. It's freezing cold. And yeah, excuse the slightly jerky video. We're just transitioning to a new camera soon. Not this one. This is my iPhone, but before very long we'll be able to do this little walk without any jerkiness. So bear with us. The sheep have been shorn yesterday, and they're probably feeling the cold. Are you feeling chilly, girls? Yeah. Tell me, does it or does it not look like November here? I'm wearing 4 layers. And the sheep have lost their coats. So, no sunshine in sight here. Hello. Oh, gosh, it's so cold. Hello, pussycat. This is Frankie. And here's another one of our roosters. This is Remy. We do have 2. The other one's called Gabriel. This is Remy. They live happily apart. Hello, Molly. Oh, no, you're not Molly. I can't remember who you are. You've lost your coat. They're all quite cross. Yes, they want to go out into the field. Jacob's sheep. And I'm in the shed now, and this is where the fleece all is from yesterday's shearing. This is where it's temporarily until we get it into the studio. And lovely fleece. Yes, I wish I had more time to spin this and use it, but I'll do my best.